Good afternoon, everyone. Now confirmation. China government did tell their citizens to buy silver. They're even showing you images of the silver warehouses, Swiss referendum, Bitcoin national reserves, just like Lichtenstein. But get ready to get hammered by property taxes. Norway's economy grinding to a halt. Annual interest payments, U.S. going to be 1.7 trillion. Will follow in history Dutch guild or British pound, U.S. financial bust and economic downturn. Where are we going, do you think? And if you like numbers, the palindrome days in 2024, 10 of them. And we want to start off with gold and silver. A couple of videos ago, I had put this information out. Chinese public is buying more than twice as much gold as the nation mines itself. And then we look at the imports, Chinese gold trading activity following that. They need to import because you remember the Chinese government told the citizens to buy gold, at least 1 gram. So we got a billion people plus all buying gold now. And then if you look at the wind-up and consecutive meetings that are happening with Standard Chartered Bank, Shanghai Gold Exchange, HSBC, JP Morgan, Deutsche Bank, etc. These banks themselves are probably starting their own private gold reserves in addition to what governments do. It would not surprise me at all if HSBC and JP Morgan have their own gold holdings. I know they have silver holdings, so why would they not have gold holdings that would bank the bank's assets as we move into this new world reset? And then following on with that, there's going to be a silver deficit expected to amplify in 2024. But we're not mining as much as we're using on the planet right now, which is interesting because now China says, hey, citizens, we're kind of, all right, we've covered the gold thing. Everybody in China got gold. Awesome. Now you need to move to silver. There's all China Insights here, image of the silver storage. Interesting. I wonder if they have any smaller bars for that as well, or if it's just going to be the 1,000-ounce bars. Good for delivery. Obviously looking at a couple 100-ounce pieces in there. And if there's going to be a silver buying spree across Asia, they can't point at a single entity like they did with the Hunt brothers and then pass different legislation that says you can only sell an order, you can't buy a new one. Like that won't work if it's spread out across an entire globe, working in unison to make sure that all the silver is bought up, that the paper control is lost. Now that would be considered, well, economic warfare if that were to happen. The country would lose control of metals pricing and the price would actually rise to where it should be. So imagine if it's $200 or $500 per ounce, as some people have talked. That's conservative estimates. Many say it's going to be higher. As the world's silver loses the grip of paper that's controlled by the U.S. and also the Five Eyes nations, once that breaks, then silver's going to take to its true price. So even imagine $200 an ounce. When everything else is hyperinflating and you look at this little box here of 5-ounce bars, this would be new wealth. Whoever has this much silver is absolutely going to be wealthy in the future as the system resets. And you look at some of these cool little silver stacks here. I pulled these off of different Reddit feeds and here on Telegram and whatnot. 2-ounce silver stacker right there in the center, the lion. That'll get you across the border. But if we do talk about borders, global gold production, this is in 2023. Obviously, they're not finished with 24 yet, but how much tonnage is coming out? So I want you to focus on China top left, 370 tons. And they said that the citizens are buying far more, at least twice of what China produces. So you know they're at least minimum importing 370 tons just to keep up with the demand that they've told everybody buy a gram. Buy a gram of gold. Some people will buy more. So looking at 370 tons just for the citizens. Not the government, the citizens. So they're going to import, I'm going to say it's going to be at least double that. 600-700 tons just coming in for the citizens. Now think about that, dispersing grams of gold across your country through the citizenry. While the Fed's most trusted recession indicator is flashing code red, every recession since 1945 has been preceded by a yield curve inversion. Meanwhile, the M2 money supply is meaningfully contracting for only the 5th time since 1870. All signs appear to point to a sizable downturn for the Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ. Gold prices have been hitting all-time highs and the rally is far from over. Call the Proud Americans of the Patriot Gold Group today before it's too late. And remember, mention the ADAPT 2030 channel.
And Patriot Gold Group has a no fee for life IRA where your IRA or 401k can be in physical gold or silver. And the no fee for life IRA on qualifying rollovers. Reach out to Patriot Gold Group, 888-546-7020 for your free investor guide today. And now on with the video.
And speaking of that, Bitcoin, everybody was laughing at El Salvador, a Swiss referendum. A Bitcoin in their national reserves. Okay. Swiss National Bank going to include Bitcoin now. Shaking my head. Oh, Lichtenstein, also one of the richest countries on the planet. Per capita, the Principality of Lichtenstein also, Bitcoin is a mean of payment for government services, and they're going to add Bitcoin to their reserves also. It doesn't give a specific timeline in this regard, but you know they've already bought. And you can see that leaves us in the world. Once considered novelty or at best a joke in monetary finance, cryptocurrencies, now national governments are stockpiling it. They're moving over to gold and silver to stockpile it. Do you think something just changed across the planet? With the U.S. not raising interest rates and not lowering interest rates, they're telling everybody they're stuck between a rock and a hard place, and there's nowhere them to move because either move will be devastating. Now, Saudi Arabia is going to be joining the BRICS nations here, and once they announce that they have, because United Arab Emirates, it was Ethiopia, and there were a couple others that have just joined formally, and they're waiting on Saudi Arabia to announce its joinership into BRICS. Once that happens, that will be a day that will live in infamy. Because at that point, from that minute, from that very second, the petrodollar no longer exists. So when you look at why everybody's positioning outside dollars into other things that may hold assets, I mean, look at the amount of raw materials China's bringing in, and other nations too. They're just buying ingots of whatever metals, don't care. Just bring it in by the ton, and we'll just set it aside because having that kind of tangible is actually going to be worth something when the fiat resets. Just a little quirky how all this is happening at the same time. Perceived cycles are moving through and also resetting our world. And speaking of numbers, hey, numerology fans, list of palindrome days in 2024. What that means is whether you read it right to left or left to right, the numbers repeat themselves exactly the same. So April 2nd is 4224, and if you read it from left to right, 4224. Now, generally, you get a handful of days every year. Not unusual at all. But to have 10, that's an enormous amount. That's like near some of the highest that we can cram into a year. So if you're looking at different types of numerology that some people might follow who are trying to reset the world in their own image, this amount of palindrome days might be significant for this year. Just saying. Especially if you add those up, subtract them, multiply them, and see where they lead you to with the base numbers. Which day would be chosen? I don't know. But get ready to get hammered by property taxes as we move through the shifting world. Market values have skyrocketed, so your tax bill is going to do the same thing once they reassess your home. And not only that, but they're actually increasing the tax rates per state in many places. So not only is it an increase, but then it's all that increase on top of the increase in the value of your home. So if your home doubled in price and they move from 4 to 5% or 3 to 5% on property tax, whatever it is, then that's going to be not only a doubling of your bill, but a tripling possibly. And this is what they're telling everybody to expect. Most insurance rates are going to go 30% over the next 12 months, not even next year. So get ready for 30% higher insurance premiums, even if you've never had an accident, never a claim, homeowner, fire insurance, flood insurance, all these good things. 30% on average next year. In addition to all these now property tax increases with the new on paper wealth that you're not really seeing in your hands. You can't really sell your house to get a loaf of bread now, can you? Now what they show here is a lot of people who bought during the COVID time got 2 to 3% interest rates, and now if you're going to sell that and go back on the market, 7.5%, 8%, plus inflated home prices, plus 7% or 8%, your home mortgage price is more than double. So why would you sell out of that? People are just going to wait. That's reflected by the construction job openings as well, just dropping off a cliff, 25% down. That's huge. Biggest 1 month drop on record. And also we're looking at regular jobs, hires versus quits. Look at that giant divergence there, 2020, right when COVID started, 2021. Outrageous. Usually they track way tighter together, and then there's, after that divergence, we see it stays far apart. Like if you go back to 2013 and prior, you see how tight that is woven there on the left side of the chart. Interlooping on top, and then if we come here, there's a complete divergence. Those lines aren't even touching any longer. So again, if you're looking for cycles in hiring, perhaps they have the same kind of data going back to the 1600s in England, and you could overlap it and find the same divergence and then follow on and see what would happen with the economy after it splits like that. I don't have the time. Just thinking ahead. At least until April of 2025, 1.7 trillion in interest payments. Now, I have seen different rates here because I saw 1.6 trillion in December. Outrageous. That's just to cover the interest, not even paying anybody back or running the government. That's just interest payment. Then you'll start to understand why you're not paying your house off really fast, because it's always interest before anything else is paid off. Norway's economy grinding to a halt. Wait, I thought it was so vibrant of an economy. Well, maybe not anymore. Talking about money here, Dutch guilder versus gold. I want to do the projection from past to future. Where are we going in the United States with that much debt? That's insane. That much interest payment on the debt. That's insane. So let's take a look from 1775 to 1800 in the Dutch guilder. The more they went to war, the more they spent on multiple. Look at the drop. So they lost 30% versus gold. Now, we're not even versus gold. We're just versus a promise. So it's a little bit different. Then the British pound, World War I, World War II, and then faith in the pound is lost, reserve currency status lost. And then we look at the big cycle. This is off Ray Dalio's video here, talking about the financial bust and economic downturn cycle of every single nation, including what I just showed you with Dutch and British, exactly the same. They follow the same curve. So where we sit now with that flag on the right side there, this is what we have next. We've already at the printing money and credit. We're already in the revolution wars, somewhere in that middle line, and as soon as you go there, it's exponential decline as people, they've lost faith in the dollar, the promise, the trust is gone, I should say. And that's it. It's all about the trust. Nobody trusts the U.S. dollar or the government to not seize assets and weaponize that every time you disagree with what the Five Eyes, or mainly United States, would say to go along with policy, whether it's energy policy, military policy, financial, it doesn't matter. Mining, there's a million things. Oh, you don't want to let our mining companies in there? You don't want to let the energy companies in there? Whoa. Okay, we're just going to steal everything you have. And we're going to sanction you, and then, wonder why people are running over to the BRICS. BRICS Pay, that's a parallel system to SWIFT, already up and running. You don't hear that on the news. So all these payment systems are in their infancy, like not in a sandbox somewhere waiting. BRICS Pay is live, and they are transacting at smaller denominations of, and they're also using real-world assets, RWAs, where they're going to tokenize something. And I was trying to see, what could I tokenize here? Oh, could I tokenize this German hyperinflated 20,000 pound mark from, what was that, 1923? I guess I could put a value to that, put it on the blockchain, and then that value can be swapped. But they're talking about millions, billions on a smart contract that can be swapped. So that value is held in that whatever raw material, resource, gold, so it doesn't matter what it is. Barrels of oil, it could be anything. And then they're going to swap that and use that as the mechanism, and it's going to run along BRICS Pay on the rails. They're way outside SWIFT, so everything that's going to be transacted in these smart contracts will be native currencies from each of those. They're not going to use dollars anymore. And once Saudi Arabia officially announces that they're joining BRICS, I tell you, you're going to have to be able to grow some of your own food and get ready for that change, because that will be a day that will send a 9.0 earthquake around the financial world. That's the official date that the dollar is no longer the Petro-Dollar. It's not going to die that day, but the usage of it will, you're going to watch it just go straight off a cliff until it stabilizes somewhere down there. And then those left using it will slowly get rid of it because it's not going to be worth anything. And why would you hold it when you could go to a gold-backed something, a real-world asset-backed something, energy-backed something, that actually has real value behind it, not just a promise and a war machine. This is what we are facing all at the same time. These natural cycles are repeating and we're losing crop production, and then you wonder why all this reset's occurring and the world is spinning seemingly out of control. The cycle came first. They understand the cycle's here. Nothing it can do. It's a natural cycle. It's going to reset society anyway, naturally. Floods, whatever you're seeing going on, the craziness right now around the world. Natural events. That's the cycle amplifying that. You're going to see it where you're going to notice that the world has definitely changed enough where food production won't be as stable. All right, well, that's already built in. That's been built in every single one of these cycles. Now we come to the old world can't make it through just on its own organically, so reset it. Control everything on the down, and then grab control again on the way back up for the new cycle reset. After this V, back down and in, see, the governments want to control on the way down and on the way out and milk as much as they can and still retain power on the backside. That's why you're seeing the world do what it's doing. But anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you got something out of the video.